Today we'll be discussing the portion known as Vayechi, and it is the last portion of Genesis. So
that's right.
We're going to be entering into the Exodus narrative here next week.
Exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And
a little bit sad.
It is sad because Genesis
cool.
Genesis is such a fun time.
Genesis is amazing.
Yeah, it's hard because Leviticus is my favorite book, but I always have such a fun time reading through Genesis, and so every time I get out of Genesis, I am a little bit sad.
Genesis, it's like the beginning of everything.
Yeah, isn't it? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Vayechi is starts in Genesis chapter 47, verse 28, and then goes to the end of Genesis. Vayechi, again, Vaya, we've talked about this a few times. Vaya means like, and it came to pass or something, and Chi basically means like he lived. So and that's how the Torah portion begins. It says, and Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the whole age of Jacob, or Yaakov, was 147 years. Now, I think it's just right off the bat, I think it's super interesting that once Jacob is reunited with his son Joseph in Egypt, that he gets to live 17 years. Do you remember how old Joseph was when he was sold into slavery?
Was he 14?
17.
17.
Yeah. So he gets like the same number of years with Joseph. Like those are like the bookends of his relationship with Joseph. I guess
that's such a blessing because he was
kind of a blessing.
Well, and he was quite old, right? I mean,
yeah.
So in God's mercy, God gave him plenty of time to hopefully heal that wound.
Right.
Maybe not completely, but 17 years is a lot.
Is a blessing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now, he's getting old, Jacob, right? And so, verse 29 says, and the time drew nigh that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph and said to him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh. So we've talked about that.
Yep. Covenant token. Token exchange.
Yep. And he says, the request he says is, bury me not in Egypt. Like I want to be buried with my fathers, right? In the promised land, in Canaan. So he says, but I will want to lie with my fathers, this is verse 30, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt, bury me in their burying place. So in their burying place means the cave, Machpelah, where Abraham and Sarah were buried, and Isaac also. And so Joseph says, I will do as you said. And then interestingly, Jacob wants this to be so sure, even though Joseph says, I will, he says, swear to me that you will. And Joseph does, swears to him that he will do it. So, now it's interesting, at this point, this is kind of a fascinating detail. This is a very kind of short, and the scriptures generally are very terse in their descriptions of things, which is often pretty amazing, like how much information they actually can convey in such a few words. But anyway, in the book of Jasher, there's actually like a larger explanation of this, and Jacob kind of plans his funeral basically. It's like when you go, like this is who I want to carry my casket, and how I want everything arranged. And interestingly, this is very fascinating. He says that he wants the tribe of Levi and his children, whatever, to carry the Ark of the Covenant with them.
The Ark?
It says to carry the Ark. It is kind of interesting.
Does later on, do Do they specifically make the ark that that the Israelites have later, or does it just kind of show up?
So in Exodus, there actually is instructions. Moses gets instructions for building an Ark of the Covenant. I don't know that the Ark that Jacob is talking about in the book of Jasher is it could just be a different Ark. Mm-hmm. It's actually interesting. Have you ever read or you've seen Don Bradley's book 116 Lost Pages? Mm-hmm. There's actually evidence that the book of the Nephites had an Ark of the Covenant,
so to speak. Ark.
That they would carry that was in the temple. So I think this I think there could be more than one Ark that just has these sacred artifacts within it.
Yeah.
And so
anyway. Yeah, it's like a tradition, a patriarchal tradition. It's not just a new thing. It's
right.
Same thing repeating itself.
Right.
Okay.
So, anyway, so going into chapter 48. Let's see. Someone told Joseph, "Your father is sick. He's old, right? He's getting ready to die." And so Joseph takes his two sons with him, Manasseh and Ephraim, and goes to Jacob. Joseph comes in and begins to bless Joseph. Very interesting. Verse 4, he says, "Behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make thee a multitude of people, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting inheritance." Interesting that he says he's going to make Joseph fruitful, because again, his son Ephraim means fruitful. Okay. Verse 5, Jacob starts to talk. Now you remember here, Jacob is actually blind or nearly blind at this point. And so he actually starts talking to, he knows that Joseph's there, but he actually hasn't realized that Ephraim and Manasseh are right there in the room as well. But he starts talking about them, and he says, "Your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt before I came unto thee, are mine." Excuse me. He says, "As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine." In other words, Jacob's kind of saying, Reuben and Simeon, Jacob has kind of reason to disinherit them, or at least partially disinherit them, and to put, or at least to kind of put Ephraim and Manasseh as tribal heads
in their place.
In their place, right? As and then he says, "And thy issue," meaning, so this is again Jacob speaking to Joseph, "thy issue which thou begettest after them." So any children that you have after them will be yours, and they will be called after the name of their brethren. Meaning, the actual two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, they are going to be take Reuben and Simeon's place, and inherit with Reuben and Simeon's portions, and then any of Joseph's children that come after are going to inherit in the name of Ephraim and Manasseh. So it's kind of an interesting little twist there, I guess.
I love this kind of adoption that's taking place. It's not like Jacob is stealing Ephraim and Manasseh, but in terms of inheritance, he's spiritually adopting them, and we saw this in early Latter-day Saint history, these kinds of adoptions taking place too.
Yes, right. So, again, a little plug for the Restored Ephraim Bible. Very cool version. You can pick it up on Amazon. It's a pretty new version, but it's got the JST. This is just the Torah, so first, the 5 books of Moses. He's planning on doing the whole Bible eventually. That's quite a ambitious undertaking, but this has got the Joseph Smith translation, as well as comparing it to the Septuagint and the Samaritan Bible and the Dead Sea Scrolls and other kind of ancient textual traditions that we have. So the JST actually adds some interesting insight here. So just to make it clear, the JST actually does say at the end of verse 6 there that whatever children Joseph has after Ephraim and Manasseh, they are going to be called Ephraim and Manasseh and inherit under that name. Okay, but I'm going to read here the JST. And Jacob said to Joseph, "When the God of my fathers appeared to me in Luz in the land of Canaan, he sware unto me that he would give unto me and unto my seed the land for an everlasting possession. Therefore, O my son, he hath blessed me in raising thee up to be a servant unto me, in saving my house from death, in delivering my people, thy brethren, from famine, which was sore in the land. Wherefore, the God of thy fathers shall bless thee, and the fruit of thy loins, and they shall be blessed above thy brethren, and thy father's house. For thou hast prevailed, and thy father's house has bowed down unto thee, even as it was shown unto thee." Talking about his dreams. "Before thou wast sold into Egypt by the hands of thy brethren. Wherefore thy brethren shall bow down unto thee from generation to generation, unto the fruit of thy loins forever. For thou shalt be a light unto my people, to deliver them in the days of their captivity from bondage, and to bring salvation unto them when they are altogether bowed down under sin."
This is a prophecy of the future, and he's not talking about Egypt, their captivity in Egypt.
No, that is... Yes, right. He says that Joseph's job is going to be to save Israel from generation to generation, forever.
Yeah, and that means today.
That means today. That's right.
There is a prophecy from Joseph Smith that says the tribes of Israel will come to Ephraim and receive their temple blessings.
Right.
In Zion. And so that will be fulfillment of this prophecy, along with everything else, the preaching of the gospel, the fundamentals of the gospel, that kind of thing. So this is quite amazing.
Yes. Yeah, I'm actually going to get to that. It's in, at least there's a version of it in the Doctrine and Covenants.
Oh, cool.
This prophecy you're talking about. So
Sweet.
we will get there. So, okay, so Jacob is talking about this, and then in verse 8, Israel beheld Joseph's sons and said, "Who are these?" So, finally, his eyes are dim, but finally he, notices someone else is there. And Joseph said, "These are my sons, okay, that God has given me in this place. So, bless them." So, in verse 10 it says, "Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see." Anyway, there's this very touching scene, right? Joseph brings both his boys to his father Israel, and the oldest is Manasseh, I think, Manasseh, and so he brings Manasseh to Israel's right hand, and Ephraim to his left hand, because there's this symbolism of right and left being the more right being the more favored, right? So he brings the older one because he's gonna expected to have the birthright.
Usually the oldest is a birthright, although that hasn't really, played out.
Right.
That hasn't really played out thus far, but yeah,
we promise that's the way it normally is, though.
Yeah, it's normally that way, even though it's never that way.
Yeah. Well, I think the scriptures, when it's not that way, they point it out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is that way. If your sons are, if you have sons and they're just kind of equally righteous and competent then it just like goes to the oldest one.
But in the case of Messiah, of Christ, he's the oldest and the birthright, and he's the only deserving one.
Right. That's interesting. I like it. So, okay, so Joseph like positions his boys as they should be. Okay, but says that Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and the left hand upon Manasseh's head. It says guiding his hands wittingly, like knowingly. And he blessed Joseph. And okay, let's see. When Joseph saw, okay, this is jumping down to verse 17, I guess. Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim. It displeased him. He held up his father's hand to move it. Joseph said to his father, "Not so. This is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head." Right, trying to move it over to Manasseh's head. His father refused and said, "I know it, my son. I know it." So, like, I know what I'm doing. Now, this is really interesting because there's kind of a there's an echo here of what happened with Jacob and his brother Esau and their blind father Isaac.
Yeah.
Where the blessing got like directed to the wrong son, right? The unexpected son, I guess. But in this case, Jacob, even though he's blind, he's not. He says, I'm not being fooled here. This is the correct order to do things. So it is interesting. He says, I know it. He, speaking about Manasseh, he shall become a people, and he shall be great. But truly the younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. So, multitude of nations. So nations there, you know the Hebrew word?
The Hebrew word for nations is goyim, which also happens to be the word for
Gentiles.
Yeah, and the word multitude comes from the Hebrew rob, and that means fullness. So maybe not a better way, but a more relevant way to us to translate this is his seed shall become the fullness of the Gentiles. It's the same exact words as multitude of nations.
Yeah, so, which is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about what has happened. And that did. So Ephraim is going to become the fullness of the Gentiles, okay? And he blessed them in that day, saying, "In thee shall Israel bless," saying, "God make thee as Ephraim and Manasseh." And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. Now it's interesting. This is a prophecy, and but this is something that. Everyone who is an Israelite, okay, so Jewish families do this, and Latter-day Saint families should consider doing this too, I say. So because Jacob actually makes this prophecy, and he says, Israel, meaning like all the tribes, all the people of the household of Israel, they will bless their children in the future, bless their sons. They will say to their sons, "God make you as Ephraim and Manasseh." And so, anyway, this is a blessing. This is done weekly in many Jewish homes
On Shabbat.
On Shabbat, yeah.
During dinner, before the partaking of the actual meal, but after the sacrament.
Yeah, right. So,
we've done that in our home, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
you guys should do it.
We've done that too.
You priesthood men you can do this for your children. I mean, it's right. How memorable would that be for them?
Right. Okay, so yes, so Ephraim and Manasseh are super important to the Latter-day Saints. I've got just a couple of Doctrine and Covenants references. I'll just start at the first one. Doctrine and Covenants 64.
Good one.
This is a good one.
Yeah.
You say that about all the sections.
I mean, they're all... Every time I revisit D&C, I'm blown away. I'll just say that. But 64 is one that especially stands out.
Okay, I'm going to start at verse 35. The rebellious shall be cut out of the land of Zion, and shall be sent away, and shall not inherit the land. For verily I say that the rebellious are not of the blood of Ephraim, of Ephraim. Wherefore they shall be plucked out. So there you go. So like the Lord's saying, those who are like humble and believing, I mean, he's saying the converse here, but basically, you know, if you are rebellious, you know, and unbelieving, then you're not of Ephraim, and so like you're not going to be part of this Latter-day Church. We know. Well, let's see, D&C 113. This is cool,
and that's by choice, by the way. It's not like, well, if you're rebellious, it just shows you'd never had the blood of Israel in you. That's not what it's saying. It's saying you've chosen not to be grafted back into Israel, from which you come.
Okay, I like that.
So, because it's been taken the other way sometimes. Well, obviously they weren't Israel, but that's not what it's saying. It's a choice. You can either remain in your Gentile heritage, or you can be grafted back in, because it's where you come from. Anyway.
Okay, I love it. Section 113, questions and answers. And starting at verse 3, yeah. What is the rod spoken of in the first verse of the 11th chapter of Isaiah, that should come of the stem of Jesse? Behold, thus saith the Lord, it is a servant in the hands of Christ. And this is talking about Joseph Smith, who is partly a descendant of Jesse, as well as of Ephraim, or the house of Joseph, on whom there is laid much power. Then it goes on, what is the root of Jesse spoken of in the 10th verse of the 11th chapter? Behold, thus saith the Lord, it is a descendant of Jesse, as well as of Joseph, on whom rightly belongs the priesthood and the keys of the kingdom, for an ensign and for the gathering of my people in the last days. And then, question by Elias Higby, what is meant by the command in Isaiah 52nd chapter, first verse, which said, put on thy strength, O Zion. And to what people had Isaiah reference to? He had reference to those whom God should call in the last days, who should hold the power of the priesthood to bring again Zion and the redemption of Israel. And to put on her strength is to put on the authority of the priesthood, which she, Zion, has a right to by lineage, and also to return to that power which she had lost. So, pretty intense stuff, you know, and it is often forgotten, I think, by the Latter-day Saints that we are Israel, and like literally Israel. And when I say literally, I mean like not just in name, or it's not supposed to be just in name. And whether it is by blood or by adoption, either way, it is literally we are literally members of the house of Israel. Most of us are Ephraimites, and just to make a little bit of clarification there, that title of Ephraim or Ephraimite doesn't necessarily mean that you are from the tribe of Ephraim, but it means that you are like underneath the head of Ephraim. In a similar way to those who are Jews, both in ancient scripture and in modern time, that does not necessarily mean that they are from the tribe of Judah, but they are from the southern kingdom, which was kind of headed up by the tribe of Judah. But anyone from any tribe living in the southern kingdom could properly be referred to as a Jew or a Judahite. Similarly, anyone who's from the northern kingdom that was scattered, they would be called Israelites or Ephraimites, because Ephraim was kind of the chief among the tribe there. So, okay. And then last one, Doctrine and Covenants 133, and this is where that prophecy was that you were thinking of, or at least a version of it. 133 verse 30. So they shall bring forth their rich treasures unto the children of Ephraim, my servants, and the boundaries of the everlasting hill shall tremble at their presence, and there they shall fall down and be crowned with glory, even in Zion, by the hands of the servants of the Lord, even the children of Ephraim. And they shall be filled with songs of everlasting joy. Behold, this is the blessing of the everlasting gospel upon the tribes of Israel, and the richer blessing upon the head of Ephraim and his fellows. Is that the one you were thinking of?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now I wanted to let's see, where's my phone? I actually have a couple of quotations too that are just fascinating, just to beat this dead horse. This is Brigham Young. This is Journal of Discourses, Volume 2, page 268, 269. It is the house of Israel we are after, and we care not whether they come from the east, the west, the north, the south, from China, Russia, England, California. I like how we list California among foreign countries. North or South America, or some other locality. The Book of Mormon came to Ephraim, for Joseph Smith was a pure Ephraimite, and the Book of Mormon was revealed to him. So, there you go. Okay. There's more I could say, but that's probably good. So, okay. So he blesses Joseph's sons, and he also tells him, interesting, verse 22 here of chapter 48. Well, he says, Israel said to Joseph, verse 21, I die, but God shall be with you, and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. Now it's interesting, the word portion there comes from the same Hebrew word as Shechem. So this extra portion in the land of Canaan is probably Shechem. Of course, when Joseph goes back, and we're going to get to this when we get to Exodus, when Joseph actually gets buried in the land, he actually doesn't get buried in Machpelah. He gets buried in Shechem. So there's an interesting connection there. Part of the connection might be, we talked about last time, I think, with his wife Asenath. Being potentially the daughter of Shechem, or at least according to tradition, some traditions being the daughter of Shechem.
Of Shechem and Dinah.
And Dinah, yeah.
So being a granddaughter of Jacob.
Right. So that may have something to do with Joseph's inheriting of Shechem. On to chapter 49. So Jacob called his sons together and says, I'm going to tell you what's going to befall you in the last days. Now this definitely has this is prophetic. Okay, last days here doesn't necessarily mean the eschaton, like the end, but this just means like in days to come,
latter days.
Yeah.
Later days.
Right. So he gives blessings to all of his sons. Some of them are maybe not so good, like the first one here. And we probably won't go through every single one of these, but starting off with Reuben, he says, it kind of starts out nice. Thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity and the excellency of power, unstable as water. Thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed and defiledest thou it. He went up to my couch. So, yeah. Kind of lifted him up and then slammed him back down a little bit there.
Yeah.
It is in Jewish tradition here. This is kind of interesting that he says he kind of gives Reuben this like triple compliment. He says, "You are the beginning of my strength, excellency of my dignity, and excellency of my power." But then basically like says you're unstable as water though, and you're not going to excel. But this kind of triple compliment is interpreted to mean that Reuben could have had like the birthright, the kingship, and the priesthood.
Wow.
But instead, the birthright goes to Joseph, the kingship goes to Judah, which we'll read, and the priesthood goes to Levi. And so, sorry, Reuben.
It's rough. Think before you make choices.
Yeah. And I wonder if Reuben even knows like what he said earlier, like Ephraim and Manasseh are gonna like inherit in Reuben and Simeon's place.
Maybe that was done in secret.
Yeah.
Probably not though. I mean,
It probably was well known.
I would
after.
Well, I'd imagine that maybe these were, well, Ephraim and Manasseh, their blessings seem not to be public, but in the Book of Mormon, when Lehi is giving his final blessing, it seems to be more public. So I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So Levi and Simeon, like he kind of chews them out for their cruelty and their anger. Okay.
Shechem
again, yep. And then the biggest, some of the other tribes, they get kind of one line things. Verse 13, Zebulun, is going to be by the sea and going to be involved in shipping. Okay. Issachar is going to be strong. Okay. Dan is going to be a judge. Gad is going to be a troop. Verse 20, Asher is going to have pastry shops. I don't know what that means, but his bread shall be fat, and she'll yield royal dainties.
Pastry
shops. So I think Asher is going to be a pastry maker.
Totally missed that when you said it for some reason.
Okay, but the lion's share, like pun intended here, goes to Judah and Joseph as far as the blessings go. So, the blessing to Judah starts in 8. Interesting, he starts off, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Which is kind of a little pun there because Yehuda means praise. Right? So his name means praise. He says, your brethren will praise you. And he says, your hand will be on the neck of your enemies. Okay? He gives him this symbol of a lion to be with him, and like this is known even to this day. Like the lion is the symbol of Judah, right? and of the Messiah, which is part of the blessing too. So verse 10 says the scepter. So when we say scepter, we're talking about kingship, right? Royalty. The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Now this term, Shiloh, is interesting. It's a little bit mysterious of a term. But it is understood to be a title for Messiah. And one probable interpretation is that Shiloh basically means he whose right it is.
So it's not related to Shalom?
No.
Okay.
I don't think, at least not. I don't think it is. It is actually.
Okay.
I think it's there's a footnote in the LDS version that says it might be a short form of Asher Lo, which means whose right it is.
Okay.
Okay. Pretty interesting. So, The Septuagint actually says, well, let me just read it. Septuagint actually doesn't mention Shiloh, which is a little bit weird. The Septuagint says, there's different versions of the Septuagint, but it'll be something similar. It'll say, a ruler shall not be wanting from Judas, and a leader from his thighs, until the things stored up for him come. So
interesting.
So take that for what it's worth. But
yeah,
the Targums, the Targums all call Shiloh, like they say, Shiloh is is the Messiah. So that is the understanding of that term.
I'm gonna look up what the Samaritan Pentateuch says.
Okay.
While you're moving on,
do it,
and I'll jump in when I have something.
Okay, good. Okay, and then there's some other blessings which I think can be understood in multiple ways. It says he shall bind his foal unto the vine, and his ass's colt unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, his clothes in the blood of grapes. So this is obviously, obvious is maybe the wrong word, but this could be interpreted as a blessing of prosperity to Judah. Like he's just going to be overflowing with abundance as far as the vine goes. But this also actually has like messianic symbolism too, right?
Absolutely.
Because Messiah, in his first coming, when he, after he had the Last Supper, he goes to the Garden of Gethsemane, where he's pressed for the first time, and our scriptures say that he sweats like blood, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting, like the soldiers come to get him, and they actually don't, there's nothing is said about him being like just covered in bloody sweat, which would have been quite a horrific sight to see, like someone like bloody from head to toe.
Oh yeah.
But we do know that it says that an angel was there helping him in the garden. And this is my father's opinion, and so I've kind of adopted it. He thinks that angel that came to help him probably cleaned him up and actually put fresh clothes on him, so that when he came, it wasn't a noticed thing. But that those garments that were stained red with the blood in the Garden of Gethsemane, that those likely are going to be the garments that he wears at his second coming.
The red robe.
She says he's gonna be wearing this red robe when he comes. Yeah, and this will be like proof of the atonement.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Samaritan does say Shiloh as well.
Interesting. Okay.
And the Samaritan is, an old. They're all old traditions, but the Samaritan is. It differs from the Masoretic and Septuagint. And so it's cool to consult all three. So
yeah,
we have
that.
Two texts that say Shiloh.
I love that. Okay. So that's Judah's. Going to Joseph. Says Joseph is a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well whose branches run over the wall.
I've said it like probably 5 times. George Washington had his thumb on that when he was swearing in during his first inaugural address.
That's right. Yeah.
Or preceding his first inaugural address, I guess. But you get what I'm trying to say.
Right. Very cool. Okay, so I think this has multiple fulfillments. It is interesting. Again, here, Joseph is being called fruitful. And again, this is Ephraim. Ephraim's name is fruitful. Actually, one other thing I wanted to mention before I go on here. Since Ephraim and Manasseh as well are basically Joseph was the head of the 10 lost tribes, which get scattered across Europe to the north and to the west, the scriptures say. And I have no doubt there was other migrations elsewhere as well. But for as far as like significance to the restoration, especially since most of the early church, which was Ephraim, like came from these European stock, right? And also the Gentiles in the Book of Mormon. When the Book of Mormon talks about the Gentile nations coming, like he's talking about the European nations, right? Coming to the New World. Anyway, but I do think it's interesting that I think most of the Christian world actually comes from Joseph, from Ephraim and Manasseh. And it's interesting, when Joseph names his children, Ephraim and Manasseh, this was back in Genesis 41. I'm actually just going to read this. Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God, he said, hath made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second he called Ephraim, for God hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. So, it's interesting thinking about the European Gentiles actually being descended from these two sons of Joseph, and Christianity in general actually forgetting, like it says, Manasseh, forgetting his father's house. Like they have forgotten that they are actually Israelites, or at least and there's an admixture of Israelite blood there. But they have forgotten that, and yet God has caused them to be fruitful, right? And the Western world, the Christian world, has been very fruitful in many, many ways, but also has forgotten their identity.
Yeah, there's an ancient motif. It's called the Lost Prince, where and you find this in different stories, but basically the main character is they go on this whole hero's journey trying to find out who they are, and they realize they were a long lost prince, and they go home and take the throne. That's every one of you. That's us. We're all. And what is Israel? It's a nation of kings and priests, queens and priestesses, and the sooner you wake up to the fact that you are Israel, the sooner that you can live the gospel with greater precision and start engaging in your true hero's journey. To be fully grafted into the true vine.
Right, and this is a huge part of the restoration. Mm-hmm. I feel like is Joseph Smith restoring this knowledge that we are Ephraimites.
And even we've mentioned this before. Even Yeshua did this in his ministry. He tells his apostles to preach to the nations when he's left them. And it's specifically because Christ also had a part in gathering in Israel. That's explicit in the New Testament. It's about gathering Israel, back to the covenant.
Yeah.
So Christ was a restorer as much as Joseph Smith.
Interesting.
Which is something we miss. But there's a lot of cool, newer Christian literature on this very fact. That restoration theology is kind of a huge thing right now. And a lot of Christians are waking up to the fact that it's not about replacing Israel. It's about gathering Israel back in.
Yeah, love it.
Yep.
Have you heard the alternate translation of Joseph's blessing?
No.
It's a little bit ambiguous. A lot ambiguous. I mean, and I can't really comment on the Hebrew, but I know that it's translated in two ways. So, but let me just see if it's here. Yeah. So here it says, Joseph is a fruitful bough by a well whose branches run over the wall. Now this says, Joseph is a wild ass by a spring, wild colts on a hillside. It's that is totally different.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and asses are unclean animals. Do you think there's anything to that, or?
Others say Joseph is a fruitful bough.
So this comes from a different manuscript of the Masoretic text?
I think it's the same. And I think it could be translated either way.
You know what? Maybe I'm
It's right
reading
here.
maybe I'm reading too much into this, but calling him a wild ass, I mean, in modern terminology, that's an insult, but in this, maybe it's saying he will become the nations, the Gentiles, the Goyim.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, we are Israel. Ephraim is Israel, but
Right.
at the same time, he becomes the
Okay.
Gentiles.
All right. I was going to... Let me come back to this. But yeah, the first part of Joseph's blessing says, he's a fruitful bough by a well whose branches run over the wall. So, like, one interpretation of this is just like Joseph himself was a fruitful bough, and that he went over some body of water. Okay, so this could be just talking about Joseph going into Egypt, like going over the Nile or whatever, or something, right?
The Red Sea.
The Red Sea there, yeah,
Or the Reed Sea.
the Reed Sea.
Yeah,
And being fruitful in the place, in like the new place. Okay, we as Latter-day Saints, we'd look at this, and one interpretation we would give is that Joseph is a fruitful bough that runs over the wall by a well, like instead of it being the Red Sea or the Nile or whatever, that the body of water that's talking about as a well is like the ocean, right? And this he's a fruitful bough that went to the new world and was fruitful there, meaning the Ishmaelites and the Lehites.
Lehi
and their combined families.
He makes that connection. He draws right from this chapter in Genesis when he's prophesying about his seed. So
Yeah,
definitely, Hebrew prophecy entails multiple fulfillment.
yeah, right. It's layered. It's beautiful in that way.
Yep.
Anyway, I know people who are kind of anti-Mormon, and so if they're anti-Mormon and they know that Latter-day Saints like this interpretation right here, they'll be like, no, this is what it actually says.
Can you read that again?
Joseph is a wild ass by a spring, wild colts on a hillside.
So same words in Hebrew can be translated each way.
Yeah, apparently. And I'm not an expert enough in Hebrew to say why that is the case. But I will say that this is by the way, this is from the JPS. This is the Jewish Publication Society. This is the Hebrew and English Tanakh. Tanakh is the Old Testament.
Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim.
Yeah.
The law, the prophets, the writings.
The Tanakh is interesting because it has the same information as the Old Testament, what we call the Old Testament, but the books are in a different order.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yep.
Okay.
And what bugs me is that in neither book, whether it's the Christian Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible, in neither book the prophets are in chronological order. I want to read the prophets in chronological order, but they don't.
They don't do that.
They don't do that.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. So, okay. So he says the archers have sorely grieved him, meaning Joseph, and shot at him and hated him. But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. So a little mention of Messiah here as well. It is interesting that the Messiah is mentioned in both Judah and Joseph's blessings, which is part of where this idea comes from of there being two Messiahs. Messiah ben Joseph and the Messiah ben Judah, or David.
I also believe that Yeshua descends from Ephraim, or from Joseph. We only have two of his lines, but I think he descends from Joseph too. So
Okay. Okay. Even by the God of thy father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb, The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills.
Whoa.
And they shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. So again, we have more kind of a Book of Mormon, or like Latter-day Saints, we will interpret this with a Book of Mormon lens, right? Where he says Joseph was separate from his brethren. Now again, that one meaning of that is Egypt versus the Promised Land, Canaan, which they were separate for a while. But another is Old World, New World, right? And this phrase here, the utmost bound of the everlasting hills, that has an interesting interpretation too, because that could definitely be a reference to the continents of North and South America, because there is a mountain range, and if you look on the map, they're given two different names, but really there's a single mountain range that runs from all the way up in Alaska, down kind of the western side of North America, down through Mesoamerica, and into South America. In North America, it is the Rocky Mountain range. Like in Utah, the Wasatch Mountains are kind of a subset of the Rocky Mountains. But then it goes all the way down, and when it gets into South America, it becomes the Andes.
So the Andes and the Rockies are all one connected mountain range, or it could be viewed that way.
Could be viewed that way. So it's like a non-ending, unending, everlasting hill, or everlasting
It's
mountains.
literally from one corner of the earth to the other.
It is.
If we're thinking biblically,
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those of you who are watching, if you've ever watched music in the spoken word, then they'll always say, from the utmost bounds of the everlasting hills, right? Broadcasting from the shadow, is that what they say? From the shadow of the everlasting hills, or something like that. I think that's what they say.
Yeah.
Broadcasting from the shadow of the everlasting hills. I think that's what. It's been a while since I watched that.
That's very poetic.
It is poetic, yeah, but yeah, we are here in the shadow of the everlasting hills. So
Some of us literally.
yeah. I will say one other interesting thing about this is in the Book of Mormon, it actually specifically mentions that Lehi is a descendant of Manasseh. However, we have actually a reference to the 116 lost pages. They're actually quite a bit larger than that.
Like about 300 or
300 to 400 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're missing a tragic amount. Like I want.
It is a tragic amount.
Imagine 300 more pages in the Book of Mormon.
Yeah,
That'd be
right. Like yeah. Anyway, they're called the 116 lost pages because that is the length. That's the number of pages that replaced it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the small plates.
The small plates.
Yep.
Took up 116 pages.
So it's just an equation.
Yeah, like this is 116 pages is replacement for the lost portion, which is called the 116 lost pages just because of that replacement, basically.
Yeah.
But anyway, we know just from there are people who, of course, Joseph himself and some of Joseph's family members and like Martin Harris, who like were aware of things that were on the 116 pages before they were lost, and they talked about it, told stories, and some of those were recorded. And anyway, one of the little details is that Ishmael, who they go back to get, that he was actually a descendant of Ephraim. Mm-hmm. So together, their two families are actually the whole tribe of Joseph is like represented.
And I think this, I don't consider this merely hearsay. I believe this. I fully believe this. Because this is coming from witnesses who were very close to Joseph as he was translating.
Yeah.
And they'd have no reason just to make that up.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And if you believe the Book of Mormon itself, like it says that this is like the inheritance of Joseph. And so you got to have kind of the whole tribe.
Yeah.
To like fully inherit it. So.
And who do Lehi's boys marry? Ephraimite girls.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have even the seed. I mean, Whether you're talking about Laman's seed or Nephi's seed, it's all
Right.
It's a mixture of Ephraim and Manasseh.
Right. Yeah. And there's some other things in there too. I mean, because there's other migrants. So Mulek is
Jude
is Judah.
Jewish. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah. So.
You have, oh man, I forgot about that. You have all three in there.
Right, and it is possible. There's some people who theorize that Zoram was a
Levite.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm open to that.
So
That's
anyway,
kind of cool.
It is cool. Okay. So, Joseph gets this amazing blessing, and then he says, "I'm going to be." It's interesting. He says, in verse 29 here, Jacob says, I am to be gathered unto my people." And then later on in verse 33, it says he like finishes speaking. He pulls his feet up into his bed, lays down, yields up the ghost, and it says was gathered unto his people.
Yeah.
Which is actually really an amazing reference to the afterlife.
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
His fathers were right there waiting for him, and
Right.
he's with them now.
Yeah, and it's like he was gathered to his people like at the moment of his death, not when they go and like bury him with Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not the gathering to his people that is being referred to. And it is interesting also that I mean this is an idiom, you know, but it just speaks to kind of the nature of the afterlife, because I think there are some religious views where the afterlife is like a forgetful place, and you wouldn't say being gathered to your people, like to your ancestors, to your family, if it was just a place where everyone is forgetful of their identity and their relationships and so on.
Right. It seems like the relationships are intact.
They are intact. That's right. So, of course, there's mourning over the death of Jacob, and Joseph commands his body to be embalmed. Now, interesting, if you like look up, if you do a Google search for the embalming process or how long it takes to embalm, actually they will say 40 days. And it's because like we actually don't have Egyptian records that say how long it took, because it was all very secret.
Oh.
So like the only reference that we have is like here in Genesis, where it says in verse 3 here of 50, 40 days were fulfilled for him, and so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed.
Wow. The Hebrew Bible just spells out the big secret.
Yeah, and so like if you like look up like Egyptologists or whatever, they'll say 40 days is what it takes, but it's because of what Genesis says.
All right.
And then they mourned for him 70 days. It says so.
Well, I would too.
Yeah. Okay. So now this is pretty interesting, because Jacob is royalty. He's royalty because he's the father of Joseph, and Joseph is like second in command.
Yeah.
Right? He's like the vice king or whatever. So it's a little bit strange to have like an Egyptian royal funeral. I mean, he's embalmed. This is embalming is something that happens to Egyptian royalty. Like
commoners were not embalmed.
No, this is royalty.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's kind of strange that they're going to have a royal funeral outside of Egypt. But Joseph like makes this request, says, I swore to my father, and Pharaoh says, make it so.
What an honor to have an Egyptian royal funeral in the land of Canaan.
Yeah. Pharaoh said, go up, bury thy father according as he made thee swear. So Joseph went up, this is verse 7, Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, and the elders of Pharaoh's house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, and all the house of Joseph and his brethren and his father's house. Only their little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company. So this was amazing. Like, this was a big to-do. And like all the royalty and like the army is all there in their
and
regalia.
Pharaoh, you can assume easily Pharaoh himself is there. It doesn't say, but I would assume that he's there as well.
It says, yeah, all his servants at least, and all the elders of his house and the elders of all the land of Egypt. So, verse 10 says, they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is interesting. Atad actually means like a thorn bush or a bramble.
Okay.
So they came to the threshing floor of thorns, or the thorn bush, and mourned there. Okay, and this location is actually unknown, like where this threshing floor is. But it's interesting how it gets its name. There is in Jasher and there's some midrash that talk about where the name of this threshing floor comes from. But they go to this threshing floor, and it's actually interesting. It's interesting that anciently threshing floors like are associated with temples.
Yeah.
So
there's some slight temple imagery at work here.
Yes, that is right. So Jasher and the Midrash say that. Well, let me just read on a little bit. Verse 11: the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of thorns, or Atad. They said, "This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians." Wherefore the name of it is called Abel Mitzrayim, which is beyond Jordan. Okay, so like all the Canaanites come there to see like what is going on, because like Egypt is marching. I mean, at first I think they probably think this is like an attack, like a
imperialism.
Yeah, they're coming to like conquer.
Mm-hmm.
And so the midrash is that the Canaanites, they come like ready for battle, and but they're here at this threshing floor, and they actually see Joseph take the crown off his head and put it on his father's coffin, or his casket, or whatever it is. What do you call a sarcophagus?
Yeah.
And anyway, he puts it on his father's coffin, his crown, and they are actually all like so touched and moved by this act of humility that all the Canaanite kings, that they take off their crowns.
Whoa!
And everyone puts their crowns on Jacob's casket.
I hope that happened.
Everyone puts their crown. This is in Jasher mentions it, and it's in the Talmud as well. It's in some of the midrash as well. But it says the midrash says that all these crowns looked like his throne looked like his coffin was covered with a circle or a crown of thorns.
Oh, that's amazing! A crown of thorns. Huh?
Crown of thorns.
Wow.
That the nations gave to Jacob.
Huh. Similar to how the nations gave Yeshua a crown of thorns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that wild?
That's fascinating, and that is pre-Christianity.
Yes.
That Targum.
Yes.
And Jasher.
Yes.
Tell me, I can't remember the name Abel, such as Adam's son Abel. What does that mean again?
I think it means mourning.
So Abel Mitzrayim, which is what the Canaanites changed the place name to, or they begin to call it, means the mourning of Egypt.
Yeah.
Egypt's mourning.
Right.
Because Mitzrayim is the Hebrew name for Egypt.
That's right. So, actually, let me. I'm just gonna read Jasher here.
Never go wrong with Jasher.
Oh well. Take it with a grain of salt.
It's still good though.
Yeah.
Cool to consider.
Yeah. And Joseph placed upon the head of his father Jacob, not on his literal head, I think, but on the head of his casket, a large golden crown, and he put a golden scepter on it, and they surrounded the bier, as was the custom of kings during their lives. Let's see. And then verse 43, and all the kings of Canaan heard of this thing, and they all went forth, each man from his house, 31 kings of Canaan, and they all came with their men to mourn and weep over Jacob. And all these kings beheld Jacob's bier, and behold, Joseph's crown was upon it, and they also put their crowns upon the bier, and encircled it with crowns.
Wow. You know, the people of Canaan knew Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They had cultivated a name for themselves, you know.
Yeah.
And that name might have been slightly tarnished after the Shechem incident, but that's really touching to have everybody come and...
Yeah, you know what this, and it's interesting, there's this obvious connection to Yeshua. But what this is actually saying, and I believe when the Gentiles give Yeshua this crown of thorns as well, what they're saying is that he is the King of Kings. Right? All the kings are putting their crowns at his feet, or, you know, on his coffin.
You know, this is such a fascinating connection. I'm almost positive now that the New Testament writers were aware of these targums, which they would have been. Like,
absolutely.
So I'm positive that this was a purposeful inclusion into the New Testament record.
Okay. Okay. So they did that. They buried him. They went back. And Joseph's brothers are, again, worried.
Dad's gone.
Dad's gone. And now, you know, this is like when Esau, right? If you remember, when Jacob leaves, Esau says, after Isaac dies, then I'm going to kill my brother Jacob, you know, for the offense that he gave me. And, you know, maybe they're thinking that that's kind of a natural thing to do. Now that Dad's dead, you know, Joseph is not going to grieve his father by having us all executed. You know,
he's been pretending this whole time.
Right. But so they go and kind of entreat him, and they went. Let's see, verse 18. His brethren went and fell down before his face, and they said, "Behold, we be thy servants." And Joseph said unto them, "Fear not, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, ye thought evil against me." And this is interesting that he just he doesn't beat around the bush. He's like, "Yeah, you did wrong. You thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore, fear ye not. I will nourish you and your little ones." And he comforted them and spoke kindly unto them.
I love that.
I know. It's
brutal honesty with frank forgiveness.
Right. That's the combination.
Reminds me of Nephi.
Yeah, I frankly forgave them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I want to be like that.
Yeah. And like this is again just like type and shadow of Messiah, right?
Yeah.
And also of like our relationship to him.
You know, a specific moment I think of, which is yet to happen, is when the Mount of Olives splits.
Yeah.
The Jews come in, they ask him, "Who are you?"
Ooh.
And he is brutally honest about it, but he's there to redeem them and forgive them and nourish them.
Right. And he'll say, "You know what?" And of course, like the Jews that are alive at that time, they will not have been the ones, you know, who killed him.
Yeah.
But but he could say, you know, your ancestors, some of your ancestors, thought to do me harm, but it was part of God's plan all along.
God meant it for good.
God meant it for good, to save lives, to save the world. Like this was part of it. So don't beat yourselves up over it. But I will nourish you and feed you and your little ones, which is exactly what Yeshua does. So, okay, we're getting close to the end here, but there's a big fat JST that I need to add, and you've got the inspired version there, right? So you're like, close to the end? What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
Yeah. So they go back to Egypt. Okay, and it says Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph there, while they were in Egypt, he saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. So Ephraim and Ephraim's children and Ephraim's children's children. Now Joseph's now getting old himself. And he says, Joseph said to his brethren, I die, and God will surely visit you and bring you out of this land, into the land which he sware to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob. And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and ye shall carry my bones from thence.
And when he says his brethren, he's one of the youngest.
Yeah.
So he might mean some of his brethren who might still be alive, but maybe he also means the sons of his brethren, that kind of thing. Just his kin.
His kin, the Israelites.
Yep.
Says, you all, we've been here, but we're not going to be here forever. Like, I'm aware, and we all are aware of the prophecies that we're going to be here for a time. But eventually, we're going to go back. And when we do, then...
Take my bones.
Take my bones. So it's interesting. It's interesting that Jacob says, take me right now. But Joseph actually says, hang on to my bones. And don't forget them. And when it's time to leave, then take them with me.
Yeah.
So a little bit of difference there, but okay. There's a really long.
You want this? Oh, you got that. Boom.
Product placement.
Yeah. Diet Coke right up here or something.
Okay. I'm actually going to have you. Do you want to read it though?
Yeah.
Like basically, it starts at verse. Starts right there. It's right where I finished reading there. But you want to read? I think it's probably verse 25.
Okay.
Is that where it starts?
You want me to read it in here?
Yeah.
Can I sing it?
If you can.
Okay. Okay.
And just feel free to stop at any time. And
you sure you don't want me to read 24?
Yeah, go start at 24.
Okay. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I die, and go unto my fathers, and I will go down to my grave with joy. The God of father Jacob be with you, to deliver you out of affliction in the days of your bondage. For the Lord hath visited me, and I have obtained a promise of the Lord, that out of the fruit of my loins the Lord God will raise up a righteous branch out of my loins, and unto thee, whom my father Jacob hath named Israel, a prophet, not the Messiah who is called Shiloh. And this prophet shall deliver my people out of Egypt.
This is another witness. Shiloh or Shiloh is a name for Messiah.
Yeah, Joseph Smith's witness. That's good. And this prophet shall deliver my people out of Egypt in the days of thy bondage. And it shall come to pass, real quick, that righteous branch he mentions, definitely Lehi. Partial fulfillment right there. And it shall come to pass that they shall be scattered again, and a branch shall be broken off, and shall be carried into a far country. Nevertheless, they shall be remembered in the covenants of the Lord, when the Messiah cometh. For he shall be made manifest unto them in the latter days, in the spirit of power, and shall bring them out of darkness into light, out of hidden darkness and out of captivity unto freedom. A seer shall the Lord my God raise up, who shall be a choice seer unto the fruit of my loins. Thus saith the Lord God of my fathers unto me, a choice seer will I raise up out of the fruit of thy loins, and he shall be esteemed highly among the fruit of thy loins. And unto him will I give a commandment, that he shall do a work for the fruit of thy loins, his brethren. And he shall bring them to the knowledge of the covenants which I have made with thy fathers, and he shall do whatsoever work I shall command him. And I will make him great in mine eyes, for he shall do my work. And he shall be like unto him whom I have said I would raise up unto you, to deliver my people, O house of Israel, out of the land of Egypt. For a seer will I raise up to deliver my people out of the land of Egypt, and he shall be called Moses. And by this name he shall know that he is of thy house, for he shall be nursed by the king's daughter, and shall be called her son. And again, a seer will I raise up out of the fruit of thy loins, and unto him will I give power to bring forth my word unto the seed of thy loins. And not to the bringing forth of my word only, saith the Lord, but to the convincing them of my word, which shall have already gone forth among them in the last days. Wherefore the fruit of thy loins shall write, and the fruit of the loins of Judah shall write, and that which shall be written by the fruit of thy loins, and also that which shall be written by the fruit of the loins of Judah, shall grow together unto the confounding of false doctrines, and laying down of contentions, and establishing peace among the fruit of thy loins, and bringing them to a knowledge of their fathers in the latter days, and also to the knowledge of my covenants, saith the Lord.
Okay, let's pause there. So, we probably should have paused a couple of places.
Yeah.
But he's talking about, I mean, you mentioned he's talking about a branch that will be broken off. Talking about Book of Mormon peoples. He's talking about a seer that will be from the loins of Joseph, meaning
Joseph Smith.
And talking about another seer who he actually names Moses, right, who will be the deliverer. And he talks about these two records. So it'll be the record of Judah and the record of Joseph, right? And the record of Judah is the Bible. That's the book for me. You know that song?
Yeah.
Is the Bible?
We could do a new one. Torah.
Yeah, so he's saying that the Bible and the Book of Mormon are both, going to be used together to confound false doctrines, and also to reveal a knowledge of the covenants that the Lord has made. So, okay.
Shall I continue?
Yeah.
And that seer will I bless.
Let's see. And out of weakness
Oh.
shall he be made strong? Yeah.
And out of weakness shall he be made strong, in that day when my word shall go forth among all my people, which shall restore them who are of the house of Israel in the last days.
Restore. It's interesting. Restore people who are of the house of Israel. Talking about, reminding them of their place.
Wake up.
Their place on the family tree, so to speak, right?
Wake up, you're a lost prince.
Yeah, right.
Claim it.
Claim it.
Repent, such that the Spirit of God enters into you, and be grafted back in.
Amen.
And I'm trying to do that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And that seer will I bless, and they that seek to destroy him shall be confounded. For this promise I give unto you, for I will remember you from generation to generation. And his name shall be called Joseph, and it shall be after the name of his father, and he shall be like unto you.
Named Joseph ben Joseph.
Joseph ben Joseph, exactly. Joseph, son of Joseph. And he shall be like unto you, for the thing which the Lord shall bring forth by his hand shall bring my people unto salvation. And the Lord sware unto Joseph that he would preserve his seed forever, saying, I will raise up Moses, and a rod shall be in his hand, and he shall gather together my people, and he shall lead them as a flock, and he shall smite the waters of the Red Sea with his rod. And he shall have judgment, and shall write the word of the Lord. And the Torah, yeah. And he shall not speak many words, for I will write unto him my law by the finger of mine own hand. And I will make a spokesman for him, and his name shall be called Aaron.
Okay.
And it shall be done unto thee in the last days also, even as I have sworn. Therefore Joseph said unto his brethren, God will surely visit you, and bring you out of this land, unto the land which he sware unto Abraham, and unto Isaac, and unto Jacob. And Joseph confirmed many other things unto his brethren, and took an oath of the children of Israel, saying unto them, God will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones from hence. So Joseph died when he was 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and they put him in a coffin in Egypt, and he was kept from burial by the children of Israel, that he might be carried up and laid in the sepulchre with his father. And thus they remember the oath which they swear unto him.
Okay. Interesting that it ends there. That they kept him. They didn't entomb him. Okay. so that he would be carried up and laid in the sepulchre with his father. But actually that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Even though they may have planned that, he actually was buried in Shechem, which we'll read about later, not in Machpelah. So, anyway.
Yeah, interesting.
It is interesting. So, now there is actually just one more comment on that before we go back to the rest of the blessing there. There is a tradition that that Joseph was placed in that his tomb was actually like sunk in the Nile, and that anyway later on they had to remember where it was buried, or not buried, but where it had been put in the Nile, and pulled it out and took it with them. So okay, so it's interesting that it says there that a spokesman will be given to Moses, which it says was Aaron. And then the next line it says, "And it shall be done unto thee in the last days also." And I think that's talking about a spokesman so there's like two seers, and both of them are going to be given spokesmen. So go ahead.
I've heard people talk about who Joseph's spokesman was.
Yeah.
I have an idea, but I want to hear your thoughts. And maybe this is in D&C. Maybe D&C identifies. I can't remember.
It does.
Oh, okay.
So, okay.
Oh, then I know who it is. And my original guess was wrong.
Okay. Well, it'd be interesting to hear. So, it's interesting in 2nd Nephi, like this prophecy of Joseph, which you just read, thank you, is referenced quite a lot. So 2nd Nephi chapter 3, where we find reference to it. Oops. And so this is when Lehi is giving his patriarchal blessings, right, to his children. But it says in verse 18, "The Lord said unto me also, I will raise up unto the fruit of thy loins, and I will make for him a spokesman. And I, behold, I will give unto him that he shall write the writing of the fruit of thy loins unto the fruit of thy loins, and the spokesman of thy loins shall declare it." Okay, and anyway, he goes on. We don't need to read all of it, but he's talking about the Book of Mormon coming forth and so on. But now, it is there is a strain of interpretation among some Latter-day Saint thought that this seer that is being talked about in 2nd Nephi chapter 3 verse 18 is like a descendant of Lehi. That this is the have you heard about like the Indian prophet, like the Yucatan prophet or something like that?
For me, the text does not read that way.
No, this text is like directly mirrors what we just read in Genesis in the JST. And there's only two there that's talking about Moses and about Joseph, son of Joseph. So when it says here, "The Lord said unto me also," in verse 18, this is not Lehi talking. This is Lehi quoting what Joseph was saying. So, okay. So, yes, so did Joseph Smith have a spokesman? And the answer is yes. Actually, I was going to show just for fun, because books like this. You see this?
Cool. I haven't seen that.
This is about the Lamanite prophet. Okay, and they say, do not confuse this prophet with Joseph Smith, who is not a descendant of Lehi. Because they're reading this verse 18, that this is Lehi speaking, but actually this is Lehi just quoting Joseph. Joseph of old. So, yeah.
Even if it was, the wording says, there shall be one raised up among, when Lehi's giving his blessing to his son Joseph, right. Said there shall be a man among your brothers.
Not necessarily from.
Not from, among your descendants. Well, the same wording is used regarding Christopher Columbus, a man among the Gentiles. Yeah. And there's so much evidence that he was actually a Sephardic Jew. In fact,
he was a Yehudi.
Yeah, he was a Yehudi. In fact, his journals make it like almost indisputable to me. I mean, he was drawing like stars of David and things in his own journals.
That's right.
And other things that only a Jew would be drawing. So Christopher Columbus is a man among the Gentiles, a Jew among the Gentiles.
Yeah.
Joseph is an Ephraimite among the seed of Lehi.
That's right. Yeah, I think you hit it spot on. But this book goes on to say, do not confuse this prophet with Joseph Smith, who was not a descendant of Lehi. He never claimed to be, and he did not need a spokesman. So, I mean, he was a powerful and articulate speaker, and, that is true.
He had charisma.
But it is also true that he had a spokesman.
Yeah.
And it's actually also true, we'll get to this next time, Moses gets a spokesman. But then Moses just goes on and speaks powerfully and just fine. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's actually quite a parallel there. But if we go to Doctrine and Covenants 100. So who did you think it might be?
Originally, I really thought Sidney Rigdon.
100 verse 9.
Cool.
And it is expedient in me that you, my servant Sidney, should be a spokesman.
I was right. Originally.
Unto this people, yea, verily, I will ordain you unto this calling, even to be a spokesman unto my servant Joseph.
And he really was. He did a lot of good for the church, and he knew how to preach.
Yeah, he did.
He was the right man for the job.
All right, and then section 124. Verse 103, 104. And again, verily I say unto you, if my servant Sidney will serve me and be a counselor unto my servant Joseph, let him arise and come up and stand in the office of his calling and humble himself before me. And if he will offer unto me an acceptable offering and acknowledgments and remain with my people, behold, I, the Lord your God, will heal him that he shall be healed, and he shall lift up his voice again on the mountains and be a spokesman before my face.
Amazing.
Yeah. So Sidney kind of fell from that, but here's an offer from the Lord to step up and take that position again as spokesman. So does Joseph Smith need a spokesman? Well, I don't know. The Lord gave him one.
Yeah.
So
I have some thoughts on that.
Yeah,
one,
go for it.
It always helps to have a second witness in your corner.
100%.
If you're the lone prophet, I don't know. You might be more easily rejected. But second, regarding Sidney, I think we owe him a lot of grace.
Oh yeah.
Because him and Joseph were persecuted and dragged out and tarred and feathered. He was drugged by a horse and hit his head. And that's when he started acting.
Probably lots of time. His head was probably bouncing down the road.
Traumatic brain injury. After he had a TBI, that's when he started kind of his downfall. And I don't even want to claim that he's accountable for the way he acted after that, because he gave everything, and he was injured, and it affected his mental state later on. So
yeah,
I give him grace.
Yeah, no, Sidney was a great man. Mm-hmm. I think actually. I give grace to every one of those early saints who decided at some point that they had gone far enough.
The 3 and the 8 witnesses.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, and Sidney and Emma.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm ready to just stop moving west and just rest. Like, I don't know that I would have made a different decision, you know?
I've talked a lot in the past. I've accused some of those people, and I repent of it publicly right now. We can't know what it'd be like to be in their circumstances, and we should be humble and not be accusers, because we all already have an accuser.
Yeah.
So
his accusation's enough.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, that's it for Bereshit, the book of Genesis.
Wow.
So we're on to Exodus.
Cool.
Next time. So thank you all for joining us. Pray that these discussions are blessing you and not just rambling idiots, and maybe it's some of both. I don't know.
Echo chamber going on.
Yeah, but we love the Lord. We love the Torah. We want the sapphire tablets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fullness, Torah, and the fullness of the Melchizedek priesthood, and all the restored doctrines and principles.
Yeah, those are the sapphire tablets.
Everything.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in Exodus. We're going to get the sapphire tablets.
That's coming up soon.
Yes. Okay. Shalom. Till next time.
Shalom.